Well, okay, I guess. One of the biggest mysteries of J6 is who placed those devices. Now, it wasn't that long ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, okay, where there was a report that it was allegedly a female Capitol police officer who now works for the CIA. Okay, probably tracks, right? In my opinion. But now there's been an arrest made, and it was an individual by the name of Brian Cole. Now, if this was in fact the individual, this is finally a W for Kash Patel's FBI, which has been much maligned. And as they've now spent $1 million redacting the files, we'll have to see how that works out. But let's look into this story right now because it's big news. By the way, everyone, the coffee brand coffee advent calendar updated 2025, double the product, all new product, new flavors, comes with a K-cup adapter. So if you don't have a regular coffee maker, you can still use it and gift it over at coffeebrandcoffee.com. Promo code holiday10 to save 10% off. And there's only 500. There's like 375 or so left right now. So pick yours up today. Here is some of the initial
This footage of the suspect on South Capitol Street shows the person setting down their backpack, which is believed to contain one of the bombs at this time. The suspect appears to put on a pair of glasses and scan the area, standing on tiptoes, before picking up the backpack. This footage shows the suspect sitting on the DNC bench before placing the first bomb. Here we see the suspect place the bomb at approximately 7:54 p.m.
Yep. You can see it there.
They place the second pipe bomb at approximately 8:16 p.m. The person is last seen on camera at approximately 8:18 p.m. wearing the backpack on their shoulders. The bomb is believed to have been placed shortly before this video. This footage...
Now, his name is Brian Cole. He is named as a Virginia anarchist, accused of planting these devices on the U.S. Capitol on the eve of the J6 party. The FBI has arrested Virginia anarchist. We'll see about that. We'll have to check X for the social media deep dive. I want to be like, this is good. And it is. Okay, it's good. I hope this is the guy. I do feel like, boy, this was really convenient timing, given we just had, one of the Capitol Police implicated. Now, the only way they actually found that Capitol Police officer was through gait analysis, which meant like their walk matched the walk. So I don't know. Kamala Harris, who was 20 feet from the device, has said nothing, no posts. The J6 committee also silent. Yeah, I mean, I hope this is him, and I hope we can find out a little bit, Now here you say, hold up, arrested Brian Cole. Same gait, same Nike Air Force Max turf shoes, same hoodie, same backpack, yet this ghost walked free for 5 straight years while the FBI hunted grandmas with selfie sticks. They had the footage on day one, traced the phone pings day one, knew the exact Metro card day one, but only arrest him the second Trump's DOJ is 30 days from taking over. Smells like same people who planted the devices just designated the fall guy before the real investigations get the files. Classic inside job cleanup crew. Watch, he'll plead to some mid-level charge. Case sealed, evidence lost. I mean, I understand why people feel this way. But I mean, if you just question everything all the time, then you never really ever get any results, Cole was identified as suspect Thursday morning. As sources told MSNBC, has been linked to support for anarchist ideologies. Okay, he's a leftist, almost certainly. He put those devices out there to attack Republicans. That's why he put them there. The suspect has been charged. The arrest marks the first major breakthrough in a 5-year investigation that has baffled the agency and sparked a wave of conspiracy theories. It comes weeks after the FBI finally offered a $500,000 reward for leads. Hey, maybe someone turned him in. It's possible. To identify the suspect, when authorities shared previously unreleased footage of the perp stalking the streets of D.C. the night before the infamous party. However, the arrest was reportedly not the result of any new breakthrough in the investigation, but came after the FBI reviewed existing evidence it had collected way back in 2021 and 2022. Law enforcement sources say the arrest may cause embarrassment for the FBI because the suspect could have been arrested years ago if the investigators had pieced together existing evidence. Now, my belief is that maybe they weren't really incentivized to piece it together because Joe Biden and the Democrats were using the J6, party that got a little out of hand against Trump. So if it had turned out that this individual was not a Trumper and that they were a leftist, which I'm sure they were, they're saying are anarchists, but I don't believe that. Anarchists would pick their target, I think, a little less politically biased than this. In the surveillance footage from the plot, the video showed the hooded suspect setting down the backpack on South Capitol Street before putting on glasses and scanning their surroundings for witnesses and walking off. The suspect then walked nearby DNC headquarters where the device was placed at 7:54 p.m. Surveillance then showed the suspect walking to the RNC headquarters and placing the device at 8:16 p.m. This was last seen on video 2 minutes later, leaving investigators baffled over their true identity. So the fact that he placed the device at both headquarters does in fact, feel a little anarchisty. I guess you could argue that. The devices planted outside the two buildings in the Capitol Hill neighborhood were located the next day, just hours before hordes of Donald Trump supporters descended on D.C. for a big party. Now, I don't know why they never went off. I don't know what the detonators would have looked like on this thing. Is it, were they timed? Were they, motion? Were they never, I don't know if it's ever released. Were they ever even capable of going off? I think that's possible. What the case, that may be possible that they were never even good enough to detonate. U.S. Capitol Police agents from the FBI and Bureau of ATF were first called to the RNC's office at 12:45 p.m. on January. About 30 minutes later, the agents and technicians were still investigating the RNC. Another call came in for a similar device at the DNC headquarters nearby. Both were rendered safe and no one was hurt. So I don't know if they were ever even capable of going off. It looks like there's an egg timer on it. I'm not sure. I mean, this is a pipe and there's a giant egg timer on it, which feels like, how do I say this? I mean, egg timers are 60 minutes, so it never went off. It failed. If it was ever meant to go off in the first place, or was it meant to just rile people up and make them scared and was never really going to go off? Because neither device detonated. They would have had a maximum of 60 seconds, I guess 60 minutes to go off. I don't know if you could rig it to keep going and set the timer after multiple hours. I don't know. But, officials say the homemade devices were constructed out of threaded galvanized pipes, kitchen timers, and homemade black powder. Okay, so, the device spawned numerous conspiracy theories as the case remained unsolved for years, including last month, as conservative social media commenters falsely claimed the FBI had identified a former Capitol police officer as a suspect. Well, I don't know. The claim said that female police officer was identified using, quote, gait analysis, and the former officer's attorney said the claims were recklessly false and absurd and defamatory. Well, I mean, I don't know. A gait analysis, like analyzing the walk of somebody, probably isn't exactly hard science. But obviously, was there a cover-up by James Comey's FBI the previous Department of Justice? I believe so. I believe that they believed that it was in their best interest to keep this a mystery for as long as they could, so that they could use it as a cudgel against Trump, much in the exact same way that they're doing with the files, right? They basically are forcing him to release the files because they know he's going to redact it. They know they're going to have to redact it. And they'll still say, well, ooh, is Trump's name the one covered up here? There'll be all sorts of nonsense spewed about it. But at the end of the day, you know, this is a good thing if it was him. If he did, in fact, confess to this, we'll have to see. But the real question remains, why did they do and say nothing for the last 5 years if basically they had this evidence for the past 5 years? Is it that they were so inept? I believe that there are only two reasonable answers to that question. Is that they were so inept that only new leadership led them to do the job, which is possible, or, which I believe is more likely, they knew who this was, or they were purposely not investigating it because it was bad for Trump. That's my belief. Let me know what you think. This is a win for Cash. You know, as long as there's no questions about this case, you know, this is definitely a win for him. He needs a lot more. I better not see, you know, the level of redactions I'm expecting on these files. And I better see some people prosecuted over Mar-a-Lago and some people fired over, you know, what they did with their positions of power in the FBI. We'll have to wait and see. I hope you were informed by this video. If you were, please do leave a like on it. Don't forget, head on over to coffeebrandcoffee.com, pick up your Advent calendar today, and we'll talk to you again real soon.